Okay, moving forward, we want to talk now about how to set the table. And set the table is a term for open of a presentation. How do you gain control? Another way to say it is, how do we eliminate objections that often come up at the end of a presentation, that we can say a certain word tracks at the beginning of the presentation to eliminate those? And Jamie has sat 1,500 appointments, and was a Hall of Fame producer last year, 432 families protected. And I think that he's got a great open and would love for him to share with you today. So,
yeah, I think where I want to start with this before we get into the open is just how I kind of came to this open. I understood that obviously the stronger your open, the stronger your close is going to be, the less objections you're going to overcome. And we're obviously going to dig into some objections here. But I remember my first day before I was about to go out on my first appointment, and I had just booked 12 appointments. And now it was like, oh crap, like now I have to actually go sit with families. Like I have no idea what I'm going to say. I've spent so much time digging into this script, and yeah, I'm prepared, I've got all my carrier logins, etc. But I actually have to go sit in front of a family. And this is probably the thing that I spent the least amount of time on. And I was a little bit terrified, to be completely honest, but there was one video that I was like, if I could just do it like this guy right here, I'm going to be able to be just fine. And it was a video by Paul McLean called The 8 Steps to a Final Expense in Home. And I remember taking copious notes on this thing, writing down every single word track. And I was like, man, what if I could just bring my notes into the home with me? Like that would be so amazing. So I didn't forget anything. And I was like, wait, what if I just brought my notes into the home with me and I didn't forget anything? And so what ended up happening was I wrote down the 8 steps to a final expense in home. And then I wrote the word agenda at the top, and I put it in front of the client. And now it became, here's what we're going to do today. Here's the official agenda, but really it was a cheat sheet so I wouldn't forget what to say. So it was powerful for me because it allowed me to stay on track. It allowed me to not be the person who was spinning around in the house, just trying to build rapport as, spending 45 minutes before I even got into the financial inventory. Yeah. It allowed me to stay like super on point with everything. So whether it's this agenda or something else, if you have your way of doing it, it's a great way for you to be able to just stay on point and also walk the client through like, hey, here's what we're going to do today. So I'm not going to dig super deep into the agenda specifically because you guys are going to hear me actually do the word tracks, but as simple as it is, number one, why did you fill it out? Number two, what does it look like for the family if there's no insurance in place? Number three, who am I? Number four, here's what we're going to do today. Number three, here's our goals. Number six, we're going to go through the financial inventory. Number seven, we're going to show you the options. And number eight, we're going to see if you qualify.
Fantastic. If you are asking where can you get it or thinking, where do I find a copy of this? I cannot write that fast. fflamerica.com/downloads. And Jamie Chirio's in-home agenda is on there. So pay attention with your ears and then go download it and you can read it again. But awesome. Rock and roll. Let's go.
So the other thing I want to touch on, and we're going to go into the open, is I come into the home pretty prepared. So I sit down every single week and I prepare generic folders for every single one of my clients. So this is not prepared specifically for Grady as a client. This just has the paperwork and the pieces of paper that I'm going to be working off of in the home. So inside of here, I've got business card. I've got something called, I am your insurance policy. I've got a client profile, a financial inventory, and a credibility sheet. Okay. So when I sit down in the home, the first thing that I do, we're going to skip past the door. I've already gotten to the table. If you're sitting on the couch, you're in the wrong place. You got to get to the table. So I get to the table. First thing as I do is I pop my state license out and I put in front of Grady with the lead card. So whether that's a physical mail-in lead card or with the internet lead, it just has all of Grady's information, first, last name, email, phone number, etc. And I put that in front of Grady and I say, hey, Grady, does all that information look correct? Can you verify that for me? Hey, is that your handwriting? Hey, is your birthday correct? Is your address correct? Phone number correct? Perfect. Okay, awesome. And this is my state license. Can you go ahead and just take a picture of that just so you can verify that I am who I say I am, and you'll have that for your records.
Okay,
perfect. Then I open my folder and I pull out my client profile, which really simple is just name, address, phone number, social, email. And then it's also got some information on what the policy is that I'm going to write, obviously, eventually. So then I've got the credibility sheet, which is just a sheet that has all of our insurance carriers on it, and my financial inventory. Okay. So we sit down, and the first thing that I do after he verifies my state license, I say, okay, Grady. So I'm not the insurance sales guy. I'm just the underwriter. So there's no fancy presentation. So like we can calm down. And every single time, like their shoulders drop, their arms uncrossed. Like if you sit down at a table with someone and their arms are crossed, I almost can't move forward until I uncross their arms because they're just closed off for the entire thing. So that works for me like 99% of the time. hey guys, there's no fancy presentation. Like, oh, thank goodness there's no fancy presentation. So that's the first thing that I do. Grab the client profile. Hey, Grady, can you just confirm your birthday for me? Perfect. Got it. All right. Awesome. Now I slide the credibility sheet in front of them. All right, Grady. So here's what we're going to do today. I work with all of the insurance carriers. I don't work for any of them because I'm what's considered a broker.
Okay.
All of that means is I can shop around for you. And I'm also what's considered non-captive. Captive is like State Farm, meaning that if I worked for that specific company that's captive, then I would be loyal to those products. I would have to show you those products, whereas I have no loyalty to any of these insurance carriers. My job is just simply to make a good recommendation for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to ask you about 2-3 minutes on your health, 2-3 minutes on your finance. Based on how you answer those questions, I'm going to make a recommendation for you. We're going to show you a couple of options. And if we see something that makes sense, we're going to submit a request for coverage to see if you qualify. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's backtrack because I didn't ask why you filled out the card. So this comes right before I give my little open right there. So state license, lead card. All right, perfect, Grady. So most people typically fill these out because they want to make sure if they pass away, either there's final expenses left behind, they can leave some money behind for their kids, homes paid off, debts paid off. What was the reason why you sent this in?
Protect my wife and kids.
Protect your wife and kids. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So what are you trying to protect? Are you trying to just make sure they have income replacement? Are you trying to make sure that your final expenses are paid for? What specifically do you want to protect?
Probably, help with the house, make sure that she's got some money. If something happened to me, God forbid, that she's got some money to help, pay the bills, and then some money to cover the house. We just got the house and it's
okay.
I want her to keep it.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm hearing here is that you want to make sure that God forbid, when something happens to you, that Chantel's taken care of, the kids are taken care of, the house, if possible, is paid off, and she has some money left behind to live on. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Perfect. So the goal here is to restate back to them what they just told you. So why'd you fill this out? I just wanted to make sure that my wife was taken care of. That's not enough. Like, you have to dig a little bit deeper into it. Because you're going to be able to pull this later in regards to objections to be able to overcome things if you need to, why they filled it out in the first place. So it's important for me to always restate back to them, because my goal, I'm trying to get them to say yes. You guys are going to learn this pretty quickly as we go through this. I'm trying to get them to say yes as many times as possible. So when I ask for personal information, they say yes, or they give me the information. And when I tell them to go grab the check, they go grab the check. So yes, over and over and over again. You'll hear me say things like, and you could see why that would be valuable, right? And they say, yes, perfect, another yes. So my goal is to get like 7 to 10 yeses before I actually get to close. So state license, lead card, why you filled it out, perfect. Here's who I am. I'm a broker and I'm a non-captive agent. I can shop around for you. I'm not loyal. My job is to make a recommendation for you. Perfect. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to ask you 2 minutes on your health, 2 minutes on your finance, a minute on any insurance you may or may not have. Based on that, I'm going to make a recommendation for you. We're going to look at a couple of options. And if we see something that makes sense, we're going to go ahead and submit a request for coverage today to see if you qualify.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. So then at that point, pull out the financial inventory. All right, Grady, I got here. Your age looks like 70. You said you're retired, correct?
Correct.
What did you do before you retired?
I worked on the railroad.
Worked on the railroad. Okay, got it. And income, are you just 100% Social Security? You have a railroad pension?
Railroad pension.
Railroad pension. Okay, gotcha. How much of that is Social Security per month? Ballpark.
1,900 a month.
1,900 a month, ballpark. Okay. And how much ballpark do you get for your pension?
2,200.
2,200. Okay, 1,900, 2,200. What about Chantel? Does she have any retirement Social Security?
Social Security about 800 a month from her.
About 800 a month. Got it. Okay. So God forbid something happened to you. You do understand that she doesn't get to keep her Social Security. We're going to lose hers, and she's going to keep the greater of the two. Okay. So she's going to keep the 1,900. We're going to lose the 800. Does that make sense?
Really?
Yeah. So what happens typically with spouses is that you can't keep both Social Securities. You only keep the greater of the two. Okay. So we're going to have minimum an $800 income loss. Now let's look at the railroad pension. Does she get to keep all of that, or only 50%?
I think it's 50%. Yeah.
50%. Okay. Got it. So we're going to have close to like a $1,700 income loss. You guys are going to go from like $4,500 a month down $1,700, whatever that number is.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Does.
Okay. So you could see why having some insurance like this would be valuable to replace that income, right?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. So first trial close. Yes. All right. And you guys said you're both non-smokers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Heart attack, stroke, cancer, anything?
Nothing like that.
Okay. Diabetic?
No.
Okay. Any blood pressure medication?
Yep.
Okay. What are you taking? Lisinopril?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Any asthma, COPD?
No, nothing like that.
Okay. Thyroid issues?
Not anymore.
Okay. Were you taking levothyroxine or Synthroid?
Yes.
Okay, got it. And any anxiety or depression medication?
Nope.
Kidney or liver disease, hepatitis?
No.
All right, perfect. All right, so blood pressure medication. Anything else you've been prescribed in the past that you stopped taking or chosen not to take?
Chantix.
Chantix. Okay, so you were a smoker. How long ago?
3 years.
3 years. Okay, got it. Let me mark that down here. Okay, and do you own or rent this house? You own it, right?
Correct.
Okay, and what would you say ballpark you have left on the mortgage?
230.
230. Okay, and what would you say ballpark it's worth right now?
315.
315. Okay, got it. So you got a little under 100,000 in equity here. And are you on a 15, 20, or a 30-year term?
30-year term.
30. Okay, and what's your ballpark monthly payment, taxes and insurance included?
1,300 a month.
1,300. Okay, so we got a little under $100,000 in equity, $1,300 a month. Okay, so if we're losing $1,700 a month and your mortgage payment is $1,300 a month, and I'm assuming you guys have some other bills, it's probably going to be a little bit tougher for Chantel to maintain the exact same lifestyle and continue to make that mortgage payment. Wouldn't you agree?
I can't die. I agree. Yeah, I can't die.
Yeah. So second trial close. Yes. We see why that's valuable. Okay. And do you have any current life insurance?
I think it's a $5,000 whole life from the railroad.
Okay. $5,000 whole life from the railroad. Got it. Okay. And you see why $5,000 wouldn't be enough to let Chantel stay in the house, correct?
Yeah, I see that.
Third trial close. So you see why that would be valuable. Correct. Yes. More yeses. Okay. And do you have a will?
No.
Okay.
Just everything's going to her.
Got it. Okay. And who do y'all bank with?
Chase.
Okay. Got it. And so I'm going to give you a website. It's called doyourownwill.com. It's totally free. Okay. I'm going to write that down for you, stick it in this folder. What's cool is that every bank and credit union typically has a notary on staff. All you have to do is get this printed and notarized. You'll have a will done in like 24 hours rather than paying an expensive attorney like $600 an hour. So thanks. Now I just found out he has a bank account and he's not on Direct Express MasterCard. Sometimes we go and we, get all excited. I'm going to sell him Americo because, he doesn't have any crazy things going on. And then he says, oh, well, Chantel and I both have these Direct Express MasterCards. And now I'm like, crap. And the worst thing is being on your back foot. Okay. When you're on your back foot, that means you're having to backtrack. It's like you got them all hyped up on one thing and then you have to pull the rug out from under them and pivot somewhere else. And every single time that you pivot somewhere else, you're less and less likely to get the sale. So I want to get it right the first time. Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to get all that information up front. So now I have a financial inventory. I have a picture of Grady and Chantel's financial life. And I have obviously what's going on with their health. And for me, now my job is to paint the picture back to them on what I found out and what solution that I think is going to be most beneficial for them. So in this scenario, obviously he owes about $230,000 on his mortgage and they're losing about $1,700 a month in income. Now I'm going to restate that back to him. So, all right, guys. So there's a couple of different options that I see, directions that we can go, but kind of what I see is I see that we're going to lose about $1,700 a month. If something happens to Grady, Chantel's not going to be able to continue to make this mortgage payment. So we obviously want to make sure that God forbid something does happen, when something happens, that you're either A, able to pay off the entire house in full, B, able to pay off a portion of the house so she can refinance it, or C, which is the most, or 3, C, whichever one, third option, the most popular option for people in your age demographic is to make sure that we can buy time. Okay. So here's the thing. I sit with about 40, 50 families a week, Grady. And my philosophy is I try to treat everybody like they're my mom or my dad. And if it doesn't make financial sense for you guys to pay off the whole house, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Is it okay if I'm honest with you?
Well, yes.
Okay, perfect. So honestly, in your situation, I don't know if I would tell my mom or my dad in your situation to take out $230,000 worth of life insurance at 70 years old, because it's going to be almost as much or more than your mortgage payment. You guys see why that wouldn't make any sense, right?
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Okay. So now I just took a person who probably wanted to pay off the whole house. And now I've got their mind shifted to, hey, here's what most people do in your situation. Instead, they're buying time. So the most popular option that most people in your situation do. And once you go through the financial inventory, your job now is not to pitch them a specific product. Your job is to pitch them a specific concept, a concept of a solution. So here's my solution for you. My solution is something called equity protection. Equity protection, Grady, says that when you pass away, rather than paying off the whole house, we can leave behind as much time as possible for Chantel. So what I mean by that, most people need between 1, 2, or 3 years worth of mortgage payments so they can have time to figure out what to do. What do you need time for? You need time to make sure that if you're going to sell, you can get the place cleaned up, cleaned out, listed, sold. You also need time to mourn. You just lost your best friend, and going through all their stuff, that's a lot. And you want to make sure you have time. And then also, God forbid, another 2008 type situation happens with a housing recession, you need at least a year or two to let the market rebound so that just in case we do lose some equity, you have some time for that market to rebound so that you can sell the house and get the most equity out of it. So she's not having to lose what you work so hard for. You guys see why that would be valuable, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So that's why we're here. And now I'm like reaffirming to them, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this today.
okay.
Perfect. So now we got a couple of different options. I think, so if you're brand new and maybe you don't know what carrier to go to, I'm typically pivoting right into exactly what product I'm going to write. But if you're brand new, you look at Grady and say, hey, Grady, I'm about 99% sure what direction we're going to go here. But first, let me go ahead and call my senior underwriter just to get a second opinion. Now, at this point, you call your manager, you get into underwriting genie. They're going to tell you exactly what to do, what to say. They're going to be the quarterback in your ear. We're going to pretend like they just gave me the advice of, hey, Americo Eagle, he's 70 years old. He's taking blood pressure medication and he has a thyroid issue in the past. And, he was a smoker. He might still be in that window where they see Chantix and want to, say that he's a smoker. The reason we go Americo Eagle is because they have the smoker guarantee that says he can get the non-smoker rates for the first 4 years as long as he tests negative for nicotine in 4 years. So that's a huge positive for a smoker or somebody who still has smoking in the last couple of years. So, all right, Grady, the company that I think that I'm going to recommend for you and Chantel is a company here called Americo. Americo is typically who I submit my healthiest individuals through. Okay. That means the least amount of medications. Okay. So we'll see what we can do with the blood pressure and the thyroid, but typically who I submit my healthiest people through. They're the largest private insurance company in the country. They've been around for over 100 years. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Okay. Do you ever watch commercials for Lamborghini?
I don't think I've actually seen one.
Exactly. This is like the Lamborghini of insurance. So we're going to see if you can actually get approved for them. Okay. Now, you guys have heard of Mutual of Omaha, right?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. Mutual of Omaha, it's the largest public insurance company. America's the largest private insurance company. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at a product called Americo Eagle. And I pull out my Americo Eagle brochure. You actually don't even need the brochure, but if you have it, it's great. You can slide it across and it allows them to have something to read. So when you're doing some of this underwriting stuff or filling out an application, you don't have to worry as much about having nothing to say or it being awkward. They have something to read. So typically I love Americo because we have that nifty prescription check. Mm-hmm. So let's just say I'm brand new and I don't realize that, high blood pressure and thyroid is a slam dunk for Americo Eagle, but I want to make sure we have this cool prescription check. And this is also a way that I'm able to get some personal info. So in order to get the prescription check, I need to make sure that I have his address, his phone number, his email, his social, where he was born, and how many years he's lived at his house. So I can start working some of this stuff into conversation. So I say, hey, Grady, what we're going to do here before we look at some options, I just want to make sure it's something that you're even potentially eligible for. So we're going to go ahead and run a quick prescription check. Are you familiar with the MIB, the Medical Information Bureau, or HIPAA?
Probably.
Okay. If you've ever gone to like the dentist or the doctor, they probably made you sign a HIPAA authorization. It's just a privacy act that says we can't share any of your medical information with anybody. They work with the MIB. They already know everything about you. All we're doing is just verifying that you might qualify for this specific product based on your prescription history. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to fill out a quick HIPAA authorization. Can you go ahead and confirm your cell phone number for me?
Okay.
All right. Can you go ahead and confirm your email?
Yep.
And what's your social?
Okay.
Perfect. So I don't look up from the paper when I ask those three questions, because one thing that I've learned is when you ask for personal information and you ask maybe some sort of a confrontational question for personal information, it's not me who needs the information. It's the form that needs the information. So I never look up from the form. I'm not looking in his eyes and say, what's your social? It's the weirdest thing. I don't do that. So it's like, and your cell phone, your email, your social. And it rolls off their tongue. I haven't gotten the social objection since my first week in the business. And you're going to get it. Well, why do you need my social? That's something that totally will come up. Well, it's not me who needs your social. In order to run the prescription check, they want to verify that you are who you say you are. And the social security number is how they actually check your name in the medical database to make sure you are who you say you are. And we can check your prescription history to see if you qualify. So what was the social? And they look right back down at the paper and they typically give it to me. I have one guy, this is funny, maybe he's watching, but he over the phone, he goes, and what are the first three digits of your social? And what are the second two? And the last four. And that's how he gets them. He's like, all right, he got them in for the first three. And what's the next two? And the last four. All right, thanks. And then he's got it. So however you want to go about getting that. But now we run the prescription check. I pass my tablet over to him. He signs it. I get the cool message that says, hey, the proposed insured may qualify for up to 30,000. Now I'm going to pull out my quote tool, show him a couple of different quotes. So, Grady's mortgage payment, $1,300. I'll show him a $30,000. I'll probably do 3 options. We won't go through all 3 options at the moment, but 30,000 would offer roughly at that mortgage rate, about 2 years worth of mortgage payments. So we'll pretend I offer 2 years, a year and a half, and 1 year worth of mortgage payments. Hey, Grady, we've got a couple of different options: 2 years worth of mortgage payments, 1.5 years worth of mortgage payments, or a year worth of mortgage payments. The 2 years is going to be $265 a month. The year and a half is going to be $185 a month, and the year is going to be $135 a month. Obviously, there's a difference between quotes and qualifications. Anybody can give you a quote, but none of this matters if you can't qualify.
Okay.
So Grady, if you 100% knew that you could qualify, which one of these would make the most sense? Or how can I adjust?
Always, we need to think about it.
You need to think about it. Perfect. So just like you want to think about it, the insurance company, they want to think about you just as much. If they're going to pay your mortgage payment for 2 years when you pass away, they want to think about you just as much. So what we need to do is we need to submit a request for coverage to the insurance carrier. There's no final decisions being made today, because the insurance carrier, they're going to give you what's called a 30-day free look period. So obviously, if we go ahead and submit this request for coverage, you get approved. They're going to want to give you 30 days worth of insurance. They're going to take the first premium. But then at that point, you have 30 days to decide if you want to adjust this, change this, anything in that regard. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and submit that request for coverage. Can you go ahead and grab me your driver's license and either a voided check or something with bank info?
Okay.
Perfect. And if they get up from the table at that point, you got the sale. If they don't get up from the table, get ready to overcome some objections.
That was good, dude. That was good. Everyone give Jamie a round of applause.